Hey Bidwell Church, this is Pastor Ray. How are you? It's good to see you today. We're doing these 30 days of Bible verses, one Bible verse per day, seeking to internalize that. So today's Bible verse comes from the Gospel of Mark chapter 8, verses 34 to 36. Jesus calls the crowds and the disciples to himself, and he says, "Whoever wants to come after me, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For whosoever wants to save their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake and for the gospel will keep it. For what advantage is it to gain the whole world and yet forfeit your life?" Or forfeit your soul in some translations. So this comes from the Gospel of Mark. It's often called the cost of discipleship. Why is it called the cost of discipleship? Well, Jesus literally asks us to take up our cross. He calls the crowds and the disciples to himself. It's a message for everybody. And it's like, if you really want to come after me, you have to embrace the fact that suffering is part of the journey. I'm here at the beach, and so sometimes you hear the phrase like, life's a beach. And sometimes that's true, the beach is nice, but really we're called to a journey, a slow journey of walking with God, sometimes in great places like this, but other times, as the song says it, on the road marked with suffering. So how do we do that with God? How do we let God into our suffering or offer our suffering to God when we're going through it, whatever that looks like, however small or large that suffering is? And then the other thing Jesus says is this ultimate paradox of following him. Like, if you want to save your life, if you want to keep it, if you want to try to reach self-fulfillment and self-actualization, you'll actually lose it. But if you lose your life for my sake and for the gospel, then you'll keep it, then you'll save it. This is, again, like the paradox of following Jesus. We're actually called to prioritize him and his gospel and to receive him and his gospel, even above our own self-development and self-actualization. Look, that's a tricky and costly ask from Jesus, but what does it look like for you, even just today, to prioritize him above other things, or to put your neighbor, to love your neighbor as yourself? That's all part of following Jesus. So it really is a cost. And ultimately, remember, this does lead to our flourishing. Those who lose their life for my sake and for the gospel will actually save it. So there's a dead end if all you're focused on is self-actualization. But there's a never-ending story to embrace if you're following Jesus. So may this be an encouragement to you today as you seek to internalize this message and follow Christ and memorize these Bible verses with us today. Grace and peace to you, and have a good one.